Hey guys, welcome to Space Cadettes, the show where we talk about lots of random stuff, usually about comics, sometimes not, because it's random. I'm Dean, and this is Jenna and Shanice, and we all work together at Space Cadettes Collection, and we decided to start doing a show because we had fun conversations at work, and we were like, hey, that's pretty cool. All right, and this week, though, we're going to be cranky old people, and we're going to complain about these comics are too expensive.
The price of these comics is too damn high.
Yes, which right now, with the price of paper being expensive, kind of makes sense, but
yeah,
you know, it's just been, I think it's been on probably a lot of people's minds that their pull box is a little more expensive than it used to be. I know that you guys were saying, because I don't collect a lot of Marvel, I think I have one Marvel title on my entire pull. You guys said that how expensive were the books this week?
Like half the ones we got in were $5.99.
Mm-hmm. $5.99.
Yeah, and then Zenescope's gotten really bad over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're only doing exclusively one shots. And they all are either $7.99 or $9.99. My pull box has gotten to be like at least $50 a week now, just because of the Zenescope books. You know, with all the prices that are rising, I really want to know, how is Spawn staying $2.99?
I think Seth MacFarlane probably just like sold one of his mansions to keep Spawn at like $2.99.
You mean Todd McFarlane?
Yes, no. Actually, I'm talking about Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, okay.
The
like, hey, fellow McFarlane, sell a mansion.
Yeah, no,
comics.
He's a big fan of Spawn.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's canon. Yeah.
He's Todd's alter ego. We've never seen him in the same room. Just saying, could be the same person.
That's very possible. I really did think they were the same person for a long time, and I still get the names mixed up because I always get names mixed up. So Jenna, you were talking about Zenescope and about how they're only doing one shots, but those one shots are more expensive. So in a way, it's less of a commitment, especially from like maybe people who don't collect everything that they do. But how do you feel about that trade-off that a lot of companies are doing?
I miss the days of, and I can't remember, I know there was one company, I know Aftershock did it, and I think Image did it, where the very first issue would be $1 or the very first trade would be $10. And that was really to get people hooked in, right? And I think that was the perfect way to get people hooked on stuff. You don't really see it anymore. And with the Zenescope books being 64 pages and that's it, it feels like they're trying to shove a whole trade of story into a single issue, which is technically enough pages to be 2 issues. So it's like they're stuffing 2 issues into one book. And they're single issues, which they finished up with, I think it was Possessive. And I believe those were $3.99. So it was like $4 a pop for a book when they were single issues, or $10 for one. For the equivalent of pages, which is like 2 books worth, $10. Rather than like, that's still like, if you do simple math on that, 2 single issues would be $8, and that's spread out over 2 months. You know, it's $4 one month, $4 next month, rather than $10. And the way that they're kind of doing it is a little like, they're putting out 4 to 5 stories a month. And each one of them is like either $8 to $10 a piece. And so you're literally getting the same amount of money. And it's also kind of hard on me because I love my trades, right? So they're not putting their oversized ones that they're calling them, or their one shots, into trades. So if I do not get that single issue, I will have no way to get it. Because that's another thing I used to do. I used to get the first issue. If I really like it, get it in a trade. But now, if you do not pick up that one shot or that oversized that they're calling it, you're not getting it, and you will miss it because it is selling out, and they're not doing reprints.
Yeah,
and that's really disheartening. I think is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
where it's almost to the point of why. I mean, and then you got things like Spawn that's still $2.99, which is amazing. Except for I think Scorched, which is another Spawn title. I think that's a $3.99 or $4.99. So like the standard comic book price. And then also you've got I am totally throwing companies under the bus today. I'm here for it. DC is doing the same thing that Marvel's doing, where they're raising their prices. I think half the books this week were $4.99 books instead of $3.99 books. And I get that because of the paper shortage, but put out a notice, give us a warning or something, or give us an alternative. Then, because you're just deferring. People are not going to want to stay. That's just my opinion, though. What do you think, Shanice?
It's so if the price matches the book, I don't get too upset. So if it's an oversized issue and it's $5.99, $6.99, and it's genuinely oversized, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But if it's I don't know, if it's Amazing Spider-Man, where it's a $5.99 book or $4.99 book, it kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I feel like that book can still be $3.99 and people are still going to buy Amazing Spider-Man. Same with Batman, same with Action Comics, and I suspect that's why Spawn, of course, Todd McFarlane, I feel like he can say what he wants in Image, he can do what he wants to set the prices. And Spawn is going to sell no matter what. But it is very frustrating when there's a book 20 pages and it's $5.99. It's I don't feel I got my value out of that. For $5.99, I can get a 2-hour movie, or I can get a meal or something. Not finish in 6 minutes. It's well, I'm done. Now I have a stack of other books I also paid $5.99 for, which is and it adds up. And I'm with you on the whole trade thing, because I also like trades, but it also is very frustrating when you don't get the full story because they don't include the annual or a certain issue. You have to wait for an omnibus that may or may not come out. So it's frustrating.
Especially right now, it's more likely not to come out than to actually come out, because I think there was a Kickstarter to do an omnibus for curse words, because they weren't going to do one. So the only way you could get it was to get the actual omnibus with all of it. You could only, it was a compendium or an omnibus, I can't remember, was through the Kickstarter. That was the only way you could get that one. They're just not doing it anymore. And I don't know if that's part of the paper shortage or not, or if that's more of a money grab kind of because like I said, they're raising the prices of trades as well. Because it used to be you could go to Image, you could get the first trade for $10, the second trade was $12 or $13, and it was the same way I think with Valiant and a couple of other small companies. And DC would usually start them at 14 or 15, I want to say. And now it's the standard new #1 trade of 5 books is $20. And I'm when they were $3.99 or $4.99, I could just get the single issues and pick the trades pick the covers that I want. So it's just it's gotten to this weird at this point there's no point in waiting for the trade. You might as well just get the single issues, because it's going to be exactly the same price. Trade used to be about getting a whole story and saving a couple of bucks, and now it's not. There was a trade that came out this week. I don't exactly remember which one. It was only 4 issues in this trade, and it was $25.
That's a lot.
The Image, they're kind of getting bad about that too. It's like there's a series I'm reading, and I really don't want to throw the book under the bus because it really is good. But I was surprised that they released a trade after like 4 issues. It's like, why not just wait until 6 issues like you normally do, and then do another 6 and again a second trade, or just wait and release it in one big collection. Like it's a 12-issue series. Why are you trying to? It was a weird how they like broke it up because I don't usually see that with Image.
Yeah, they did another one. Sorry, you finish first.
Oh no, that was it.
There was another one during the pandemic, right before the Great Panini started. What was going on was a series called Ruby, RWBY, that Jim Lee was the artist for the special variant in the first one, and then there was supposed to be 7 issues, right? They only released 6. The only way you can read the last issue is if you buy the trade. So now, like, I had to buy the trade. I owned all the single issues and a couple of the variants, and now I was literally stuck for a whole year and a half not getting the last issue. Because at first they were just like, oh, it's canceled. Nobody's ever going to read the last issue. And then all of a sudden on the site that you can order it from, it was like the trade and will include last issue. And we're like, all of us are just sitting here like, they didn't even, like, it was apparently fully made and done and just ready to release, but they didn't release it. I was like, you could have released it on like a comics reading app or something, like somewhere for the fans to read it. And it really has felt like they don't care about us anymore. They don't care about us. They care about our money.
You know, like it's crappy because I feel like that's in that situation, it's still like, the story at least got finished out. Because I'm still mad about what happened with the Amazing Mary Jane. Because and there was like, well, paper shortages, so unfortunately some books are going to get canceled, and that was one, and some other titles as well. And it's frustrating. It's like you could have at least like that could have been like a original graphic novel where you sold it the complete series in one graphic novel instead of putting it out and then canceled. It sucks.
If you're gonna get halfway through a story, or if you're gonna get like all the way to like what Ruby did, where they just canceled the last issue, put it out on like what Comixology or something like that, so that way people can read it. Even though there isn't a physical one, at least put something out. So that way, you know, we put our money into it, we put our time, we put our effort, we put our emotions, like we throw ourselves into these stories when we're reading it. And then you just like, oh, here's a banana, not anymore. Yeah.
That is something I don't know if it's just because like I don't really read comics digitally that much. But I am surprised that more places didn't try to take advantage of that with the paper shortage. And maybe we haven't seen it yet. Maybe we are going to be seeing more, hey, we're going to release the first one as paper, read the rest of them online. I would do that. I would absolutely do that. Get the first one because I have like a nice paper one. I guess I'm also thinking about that because what is it? Scout?
Yeah, Scout does the nonstop.
They do their nonstop line, which is a single trade, or not a single trade, a single issue, and then you read that, you're like, oh, this is cool, and then they release the trade. And then you know if you want the trade.
Yeah, and it's usually only a month apart. Like you get the issue and a month later is the trade.
Yeah. So I like that. That's pretty cool.
And I think another thing that really is like irks me about what's going on right now is with the paper shortage and with them canceling things and making things more expensive, but they're still going to go out there and do 10 different variants, but you can only get them if you order 100 of this one. And it's like, it's gotten to the point of, really? Like you guys aren't making any sense right now. I get Zenescope. They have always done 4 covers, always, like A, B, C, and D. Always been that way, and so they stick to that. They're like, oh, you know, we've got our 4 covers, please order what you need. And I get that, but then you go to things like Marvel and they have at least 10 different covers. We're gonna see a crash when it comes to collecting soon. Like I feel it. Don't quote me on that, but that's just a feeling.
Also, doesn't Zenescope, instead of doing based on, because most of them is you have to order like 50 of a single issue. Doesn't Zenoscope do special covers based on like quarterly, like everything you ordered from them? Like you're like a Zenoscope silver store, I think.
They do have, so those are very special ones. Those aren't actual like stories. Those are very special. Like, here is the Zenoscope silver exclusive book we put out once a year. Here you go. And they actually give those to the stores that they know buy from them, so that way the stores can make money.
Yeah.
Which they started that during the pandemic. They were like, we're going to give you this specially once every 4 or 5 or 6 months. We're going to give you these 2 special books. It's just because your store does sell so many of our books. Here you go. Go make some of that money back. Okay. Like, here's for the stores. Yes. And that did help a little bit, because some of those go for a lot of money, and the stores are like, yeah, it's paid by this employee for this many days. So yeah, thank you. And then if you want cover C of Zenoscope, you can just order cover C. That's what we do at our store. I think we order like 3 or 4 cover C's, 1 or 2 cover A, 1 or 2 cover B. But when you go over to things like Amazing Spider-Man, you get only cover A unless you get 10 or 20 of them. Then you can get 1 of this cover. And it's just like, just let us order the covers that we know we want.
I do love, and it's funny because the main time you see a ton of variants, especially thinking about the Scorched, which had like 10 variants, all awesome. But still, like they always start really hard with number 1. But like as a collector, and especially as somebody who's a like completionist and I want everything, the time I go hard is the last issue. I have like 7 different variants for like dye. Like, I don't know how many variants they released, but I got all of them. Like, I just had so much fun. But one thing I've noticed too is that number 1s, they release a ton of variants of them, probably because everybody's hyped. Also, a lot of number 1s are more expensive. They'll start at $4.99 or $5.99 for number 1. Maybe it's longer. But then also thinking back to Image and them doing dollar number 1s.
Yeah.
Or reprintings, but still, like, it's that difference of like, number 1 is supposed to get people into the story. And I feel like making it more expensive kind of goes against that,
Yeah. That reminds me of something Aftershock did when they first started. They did a $1 Genesis where it was like 5 or 6 pages of about 5 different stories for $1.
Mm-hmm.
That's the perfect way. They're like, hey, these are the books we have coming out this quarter. Here's a taste of each one of them, but it's $1, so that way you can here, have a taste. And I wish I could see that for more companies more often, like once every 3 months or once every 6 months, like once either every quarter or half year, we could get like a little bitty like taste of everything to see if like we even want to go and spend $5 or $6 on a single issue.
Yeah, and I'll say that one thing I really appreciate, and that I think DC's been doing a very good job of it, is that they put on their covers how many issues of a series.
Yes.
Detective Comics, which will go on until
the end of time. Yes.
But
Action Comics and Detective Comics forever.
Yeah. But I really appreciate that, because I can stand in the store, and also, at least from everything I've seen, when DC has said this is a 5-part series, number 1 is $5, all the other ones are $5 too.
Yeah.
Like, and so I can stand there and look at it and say, this is a $25 commitment.
Yeah.
That is my commitment to, if I pick up this, and you know what, that's not bad. Yeah. Especially if it's like something from Joe Hill. I'm like, heck yeah, Joe Hill will get another $25 out of my bank account. Like, just take it. Just,
Yes. Oh my goodness. And then I love that DC does that. Actually, now that you mention it, because there was one a couple years ago called Doomsday Clock.
Mm-hmm.
Where they told you it was 12 issues over 2 years. So you knew it was every other month, not every month. But the fact is, they told you that up front. They were like, look, this is going to be every other month, not every month. And they were $3 comics or $4 comics. I'm sorry. It was like $3.99. So they're $4 comics. So I was like, cool. This is 2 years of my life I'm committing. And I committed hard. That was such a good story. But like DC books are actually really good at that, except for their ones that literally last. I think Action Comics is at over 1,050 or something. I can't remember. But the other ones, they're like, this is issue 3 of 4, the final issue. Like they're really good at telling you. They're like, this is it. This is the final one. And that had to come from, and I hate to say this, they axed a lot of books early on in the Great Panini. They did. So I remember one distinctly, Harley Quinn was on 74. And then all of a sudden 75 came out. And it was a one-shot finale of it. So whatever storyline was going on before 74 just got axed. And the people writing it knew that that was going to happen. So they literally just took this last like issue and were like, how many Harley Quinns can we stuff in here? And there's literally hundreds of different Harley Quinns from different universes. There's a Sailor Moon Harley Quinn. There's a Panda Harley Quinn. There's a blob like Jello Harley Quinn. Like I have to show you this book later. But it's literally just hundreds of Harley Quinns, and they're doing a roast of Harley Quinn. As the final issue.
We've got to have, I'm so sorry, producer, but we've got to have like tons of little like Harleys all over like right now. I just want to be swimming in Harleys. Just
yes, all of us need to be drowning in the different Harleys right now. Because every page you would turn, you would see different Harley Quinns.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my favorite was either the Cow Harley Quinn or the Sailor Moon Harley Quinn. I loved those. They were so cute. But it was still kind of like DC had to axe a lot of books really early on in 2020. Yeah, just like axed a ton of books, canceled so many books, and then restarted them, kind of like they restarted them, and they were like, okay, this is limited series, this is only 10 issues. This is limited series, this is only 6 issues. Like, yeah, they were like, we can't just keep this going to like 75 or 15, 20, like let's smaller.
Yeah. And I really enjoy limited series because for me personally, kind of what I manage my pull box is like I have a certain amount, and then when one of them ends, I find another one. And that's what I like. I like when I have like little like 6 issue, even less than that, like 3 issue, and then I get to find something else and add that to my pull. Because there's always stuff I want on my pull that I don't add because I'm like, well, I just can't afford it, So.
Yeah. I was going to add that to the DC covers thing. Something that they've been doing in the past couple of months, I noticed. They actually put the name of the artist who did the cover art on their front cover. I really do appreciate that, especially during pull boxes. So we don't have to like open the books, go to Diamond Previews World or whatever to figure out who did the art. Some of them it's pretty obvious, Art Jim or Jim Lee. Yeah. But there are some artists who are fantastic that's like, I have no idea who this is. So I'm very grateful that DC started doing that. I'm hoping that Marvel can start doing the same thing, please.
Yes.
Please. Like
sometimes though, plus Marvel doesn't even put the name of the book on the cover. So I don't know if we're going to get many details.
Just put the name of the book. DC, if you ever see this, anybody, not DC, I'm sorry, at Marvel, if any of you ever see this, we are begging you, put the name and number on the book. That's it. We're going to walk away. If you want to be extra nice and fancy to us, you could tell us who the artist is, but hashtag Marvel, please.
Hashtag Marvel, please.
I hadn't even thought of it, but yeah, I've been really enjoying the same thing because I now know more cover artists because I pick up my DC book and I look at it and I think that's great, and I don't have to Google it. I don't have to investigate on Twitter. I just read it like, oh, that's the artist.
Yeah. It actually makes me like check out like their Instagrams.
Yeah.
I found a lot of artists that way. It's like, oh, this person is great. I need to follow them right now. And I just scroll.
Like, next, like, next. Please don't think I'm a stalker. Like, next.
Is there a recent one that you can think of off the top of your head that like you've discovered?
There have been a few, but today I went on Instagram. I saw Peach Momoko post something. It's like, oh my gosh, they're so talented.
Yes, I saw one of the books they did, and I'm pretty sure they think I'm a stalker now because I went and liked every single one of their posts in a night. Peach Momoko, we love you. I'm not a stalker.
My favorite recently, I've still just been obsessed with Rose Besh. Just absolutely adore her covers. I don't know, have you guys both seen some of her covers? I think I've dropped them in the group chat, so you've seen them.
Probably. Well, we've probably seen them. We've seen a lot of everything. And then Scotty Young's Instagram is blowing up like crazy. Oh my gosh. Because like he made the announcement, I think we've talked about this before, that Gert was coming back. And he's just been like, here's a lot of art every day. And I'm like, here's a lot of likes every day.
Oh, and did you guys see his new book? The Ash Can he released for Twig? Oh my god. We need to we're gonna take a break because even if this isn't quite halfway, because I need you guys to see Twig and you guys need to be able to fully appreciate Twig.
Oh, okay. So we'll be right back.
Right. We will be right back after I have shared Twig with everyone. Bye.
Okay.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Welcome back, guys. We're back. We saw all the Twig covers. I'm in love with a mountain. He is adorable.
They're so cute. Oh my goodness. Twig. I would die for Twig already. And it doesn't even come out until May.
I guess it's gonna be worth the wait. Mm-hmm. Speaking of things being worth the wait, are you guys like, is there certain books that you're willing to like wait for? Like with me, it was Doomsday Clock. I was totally okay with, for 2 years, every other month getting a book. I was totally good with that. It was such a good story that I was okay with that. What about you guys? Was there something that you were worth waiting? Like you had something you were worth waiting for? What about you, Shanice?
Saga. Saga hands down. Like when it went on the initial hiatus, I was like, please God, don't let me die before this book comes back, because I'll be so mad if knock on wood that like because I want to read the book. So I was so happy when the announcement came. I think I screamed at work.
I think we all did. We were all just like, and then we saw it in previews, and we were just like, ah! Exactly like that.
because they sent out all the promo material and they had like a banner that you could hang up if you did the midnight release, and I definitely took it and I just like held it over my head. I was like, Soga!
Because I think I was there.
Which
I don't know
also,
if you did that. I know you did something.
no, I think it was just me and Miss Jen that day, and yeah, which is not the most embarrassing thing I think I've done. Which is that one day I was looking at the invoice of what was coming in, and I was like, heck yeah, boom, and I did like a little like fist punch, which you guys both know like what that motion is that I do, which is like, and had like a little leg kick to it.
Yes.
You're just a customer I hadn't noticed like standing at the register. I'm like, my comic's coming out. I'm excited, because it's good.
And then when it actually came in, we were all just like, Suga!
Yes.
I think we bagged and boarded it, and then I just held it, and I was just like, Suga! Suga! I don't think I could have said like anything for 5 minutes straight. It was just like, Suga!
Which at the time of this recording, we've had the first one come out, which was really good. But then the second one of the like reboot, like them restarting it just came out, and I was like, I know me and Shanisa both got a chance to read it at like, well, Saga's back.
Yeah. Oh no, I can't wait. Oh no, I didn't do it. Oh.
No spoilers for Jenna, but yeah, they go real hard. Like you think, oh, they're gonna ease us back into it.
I already knew they wouldn't.
I've never seen an author write a letter of apology for the end of a comic book before.
What? Oh no! Like, is it actually in the comic? The apology, like,
in the letters page, like it's intense. Like it was like, whoa! Like
I'm gonna need to step away for like 10 minutes and go find it now, like, and read it right now. Right now. Okay, I can wait.
It's so good though. Worth the wait of 3 years.
Oh my gosh. So with Saga being like already back in single issues, would you want to wait for a trade again, or like are you wanting to just like stick to the single issues?
I pretty much always collect single issues. Like that's what I like to collect. So my answer is easy, is like I want the single issues. So I pretty much only buy trades when it's not feasible for me to get the single issues, like older comics, stuff that's just like way too expensive by the time I'm interested in it, or the single issues I have are way too valuable for me to read with my hands. To buy a trade in order to read and enjoy that story again. So
to read with my hands. Favorite quote of the night.
I think Saga, I feel like it's gotta be the only book I can think of where I can see both sides, where like getting single issues, it's great because, and I'm really happy that Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan, they were really firm on it being $2.99. And the fact that it's still that price after all these years, with one issue actually being like 99 cents is incredible. But at the same time, I feel like Saga, it reads well in like a trade paperback compendium because the way it flows, it's insane. But also it reads good. Like I can't wait till next month, next issue. Like I need to know what happens. Yeah, dang it, Vaughn.
What makes me so mad about Saga is so I picked up the first issue back and I was reading it and I was like, wait a minute, I have forgotten something along somewhere, or I missed something. And so they have the compendium with everything, right? And I think I picked it up and I was just thumbing and I'm like, oh, I didn't miss it. It's right here. Okay, yeah, okay, there it is. Okay, so I do like that they did release the compendium. They re-released the compendium right before it came out. I love that. But Image did put out that they're no longer doing second prints. So if you want that compendium, you got to go now. Pause us. We can wait a minute. We can wait. And we're waiting. And then, did you get it yet? Like,
it is a good deal. We were talking about money earlier. The compendium is 55 comics for like $60.
yes.
So there is definitely those where it's like the Spawn compendium, any of those like huge books, they're a deal. Like you can get a lot of comics like all in one go.
Because I think people, they get scared by the initial price of $60. That's like, that's a lot, but it's like, try getting issue one of Saga right now, like for less than a couple $100.
Yeah.
Even the trade, I think it's still like $9.99. I don't think it's like $12.99. I think, but it's still pretty decent.
We're talking about like if we were willing to wait for comics. I don't mind waiting. I don't mind people taking breaks. And that's always what I said was part of one thing I really liked about Image, because Image is a company that like you might just not see your series for 3 or 4 months because they're not like on a like strict. I feel like the way that like at least because Image and DC are the two that I read the most probably right now, but I feel like DC only starts putting things out after they're completed. So that's part of how they're able to do that, like month to month to month.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and but yeah, that's why one thing I've always enjoyed about them is like, and I don't mind. Like I said, that's why I support my LCS. Get a good LCS that always keeps up with your polls, super good, and that's one of my favorite things. Is like that's fine. Like take your time, take a month off. Take a paper shortage off, whatever, just give me my story, the story that you want to tell me when you can. Yeah. So,
because maybe the writer or maybe the artist or maybe the letterer even, they just need a no bones day. Maybe they need a no bones week.
How do you feel about that, Shanice?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like, and I think sometimes as fans, because I've seen it like with other fandoms, especially wrestling, but like these people, like they have like their lives, like like they, if there is a hiatus, I don't get upset, I don't get mad because they need to take a break too. Like especially if you're writing a really intense story, like please take a break. If you need to take like just like a mental like month, then that's fine. Like the book will be there in a month. I don't need a book every single month or. Now in a certain book, in a certain case, like every 2 weeks now, like if it's a hiatus, okay, the road will keep going. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a book going on right now that's going out every week, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. There's Amazing Spider-Man has been weekly.
Yep.
That's what it is. Yeah, and I'm just like, whoa.
And that adds up because I think that book is $4.99. It's like ooh.
Sometimes it's weird. It's really weird. Like an issue last week was $5.99, and then there was another issue that was $4.99, and then there was another issue that for some reason was $6.99. So pick one.
They've been doing a lot of spinoffs with that one, which I definitely see. I feel like it's just the different types of collectors. Because like I'm sure there are people out there who really, and we see them, we meet them all the time, that they really enjoy keeping up with a series, keeping up with all the spinoffs. And they're like, okay, I got to get all this stuff. Yeah. Especially people who collect Star Wars, bless them. They have to have like a wall in their house with like screens and stuff, and like I just want to have those people represented and seen. Drop in the comments if you're one of those people, because I know that none of us are those people because we're just chilling, reading our books when we get to them.
Right.
By the way, definitely hit us up on Instagram or Facebook. You can find us at Space Cadettes. You can find us on The Experience for both, even on TikTok. If you want to show off your collection, if you want to show off your books, hit us up. We love to see them. And we can be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to read that book too.
We love humble brags.
Even if you want to just brag. Just show us.
Exactly. Like, don't even be humble. Like, own your bragginess. Just
own it.
Yeah.
Because like this is, I will do brag right now. Look at that.
Look at all
Are
that.
you not entertained? It goes all the way down. There's 2 more shelves down. And then behind me, I've got 4 long boxes, 2, 6, 12 short boxes. Yeah. So show me yours next, please. Collection. Your comic collection, please. Show me. The next thing you guys are going to see is just me taking pictures of my collection and just being like, oh, show me yours. Show me your collection, please.
Jenna's house is, in fact, a collection. That is what the house is. There's also some furniture and people in it, but it's mostly collection.
What is this furniture you speak of? What are people? I think you mean NPCs.
Picturing like there's like a couch and chair just made up of like Funko Pops. Like there's not even furniture. It's just like a couch of Funkos.
I need to make that happen now. Oh my god! I bet I could find like a cover for my couch that's like comic books, because we have throw blankets that are comic books. I have a full-on quilt of comics.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because my mom is a librarian, and she very seriously uses Scholastic book boxes as her end tables in her living room, and has for years. And so that's all I can think is I grew up in a book collection house.
My last apartment, we used short boxes. We put 4 short boxes down with a thing over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No books were actually harmed in the usage of furniture, and no comic boxes, no short boxes or long boxes were hurt in the making of furniture as well.
You should have that flashing in the bottom. No.
Yeah. Like no comics or comic boxes were harmed in the making of furniture. Because it was actually a piece of glass that we put over it. So there was literally like no way anything could, get through the giant glass plate.
Nice. I mean, you could, there's a lot worse hobbies to have than collecting things. A lot cheaper ones.
Speaking of weird hobbies, I think it's time for pick of the week. Let us discuss Chew. So I read the first trade.
Why don't we let Shanice introduce it? Because Shanice was the one who bestowed this on us.
Yup.
So Chew, like I said in the last episode, it's about a man named Tony Chew, who whenever he eats, he gets a flashback of how it was made or it was grown. It's sometimes it can be really chill. Like, oh, it's an apple from an apple orchid. Or if he eats a hamburger, oh, it's this cow being slaughtered. It sucks. The only thing where this doesn't really, the only food item that doesn't affect him in this way is actually just regular beets. So he eats a lot of beets. And in this world, in a world of Chew, chicken is now legal after this incident that you read and seen in the comics. So there's this chicken black market, and it's crazy to see. And in the first volume, you see Tony go from regular cop just eating beets to this crazy conspiracy of sorts. And I don't want to spoil, and I don't want to go into too much detail about what happens in the first volume, because
I'm about to spoil the first issue. I'm about to spoil the first issue.
That's okay. This is the first one.
And that's fine. Yeah, go ahead, Jenna.
Now, I love food. I want to tell everybody that I love food. Okay? We've discussed this. Everybody in this room knows. Everybody. Okay. But never in my life would I eat a man's face.
Not even to find out the name of the children he murdered?
No.
I would eat a face to find out a murder.
They had to. Other cops had to literally be pulling him off. Like, he couldn't just figure it out in a bite or two. He was sitting there just like drenched in his blood, just like, ow, 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 ow.
He got the job done. He saw the case.
I did think about that. I was like, would I, if I was in that situation where it's like, I know that dude murder. I know that there are what, because he knew two of the names. Okay, and just so that people aren't completely lost. So in the first issue, he's going around and they're trying to do the stakeout. There's this whole like crime thing that's happening. And then he ends up going into a restaurant and he like eats something. And because of the person who cooked it, he knows there's a serial killer in the kitchen that cooked it. And like, so then he is like, I gotta go get this guy because he knows the names of two of the people.
From a drop of blood.
Yeah, from a drop of blood. And then he's like, I gotta get more answers and we gotta get this guy because he's about to go murder more women. And like then it's really cool. Like this book had so much more action in it than I thought. Like it was so cool. But he runs out and the dude like kills himself. And so then he's like, I need answers, and he starts eating his face. Just
the thing was, he left his partner, which the serial killer had straight up put a butcher meat cleaver into his partner's head. And then was running out, and he got two names from a drop of blood. So why did he go after somebody's whole face? He could have just been like, "Oh, I'm gonna numb on your ear."
Oh, so you're just upset about the face? You would have like gone for like a leg,
finger or something. Like I would have like cut off a finger and like bit that, or I would cut off an ear and eat it instead of sitting there just like shoving face in my face.
So. Here at Space Cadettes, we don't advocate for cannibalism, but if my partner got like a cleaver to the face, I would go into like a blood rage too.
He was already dead.
I wouldn't eat someone's face, but I can see why
he was already dead. All he needed was like a piece of nose or something, like an eyelid, or I don't know, a piece of lip. Somebody help me.
Well, and it like, Shanice, like you've read the whole story. Does he know before that he can like eat a person and know about what they did?
So I think I need to like reread like the entire thing again, but like I think it was the first time like with humans that never happened. So he because he doesn't like go around like biting people, but because the guy cut his finger and drop of blood got into the soup he was eating, it was like oh,
I've seen it all. I just didn't get your name. Let me get another drop of blood. No, forget the drop. Give me your whole face.
Which is like kind of crazy to think about too. It's like thankfully like no one has left pieces of themselves in whatever food he's eating, but like
also his partner was kind of what's a word I can use on here? Super rude.
Very rude.
Like so rude to the point, like at the very beginning, I think it was like the second page, the guy was like, give me my coffee hot, blah, 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 blah. And he was like so rude about it. The guy spit in his coffee and handed it to him. And she was like, he spits in your coffee. And then his partner's like, oh, if I ever catch him. And I'm like,
you're already drinking the spit, man. You lost.
You already know you're drinking the spit.
Oh, but quickly, Denise, would you eat a face in order to solve murders?
When you could have just taken a drop of blood.
I would politely nibble on the face. It's not a crime because I am that determined to end this vicious serial killer's reign of terror on my town. I would nibble. Yes. It's like,
you wouldn't be shoving it in your face though, to the point that like people had to pull you off. Just a very sensible nibble.
Right, just like a little just like that's okay.
What?
I found the other ones. Let's round them up, boys. Just
So you read the first half of the first trade, right, Bean?
Yeah, I think I read I know I read the first two, and I think I just started like the third chapter.
So all I have to tell you about the fourth chapter is they shoot a llama in the face.
He already
No context.
No.
No context.
They just do it and they move on?
Well, actually, it just appears and then they explain what happens. Like they're like 42 hours earlier. They're in a lab that they've been watching this planet for the last 20-something years, right? And for some reason, the government gives them like $30-something million every year, and really all they need was 3. So they just blow the rest of the money. And one of them got a llama, the scientists that were there. And when our 2 dudes show up, everybody is messed up. And then everybody dead, including the llama with a bullet to the face.
Is the plant dead?
The planet?
No, I thought you said it was a lab to watch a plant.
No, a planet. I'm sorry, a planet.
Oh,
That's my
I thought
bad.
they were all just watching one plant, which was also very confusing, but
They're watching this one planet for 20 years that has zero change in 20 years, but they have this whole lab dedicated of over, what was like $34-35 million a year. Then they only need 3 million. I was like, I want to be part of that research group.
Usually it's like we need $300,000, and that's like, here's $200 and some paper clips. Go wild.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this book. Like you explain it, it's one of those where like the premise is so crazy and kind of hard to explain. You end up just explaining the premise to people of like trying to explain like, well, he's a guy and like he eats stuff, and then he like knows things.
Yeah.
And it's really one of those books where it's like got like, it's like crime, and it's got like conspiracy and like chases, and like, why does that one guy have Daredevil's little swords? He's like a big guy.
Why was the Yakuza? What does the Yakuza have to do with fried chicken?
Why are llamas getting shot in the face?
Where can I get $34 million for my research?
It's it's one of my favorite comics. It's like, because like how Bean said, it's hard to describe without giving away some very big plot points. And Jenna,
why are they watching a planet for 20 years?
What? Wait, Jenna, like you finished the trade, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you know how it goes. Like, oh,
what's that ending?
Yeah.
And wait, how much more of the story is there?
It was a pretty long run. I think like 60 issues.
Oh, dang.
Which we all know Jenna's going to sit down and binge on her next day off, right? And then I'm going to call Shanice probably after every single issue and be like, what have you done to me? What have you done?
Yay.
I do quite enjoy it. It is a different type of art style. And also the English dude that we meet like halfway through the first issue and then in the rest of the issue kind of reminds me of a Santa, but more kick-ass. See that chonky, and he can be like throwing ninja stars. Where was he hiding ninja stars?
He got a lot of body mass. He could have pockets.
Yeah, he pulls out swords, and then all of a sudden he's throwing ninja stars, and then he's just like popping people with a gun. And I'm like, you're literally wearing a vest. You look, where you got that? Do I need to know where you got that hiding?
I love his character design, and in my mind when I was reading it, his voice is Sean Connery.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really good. Shanice, it may be a little bit before you get your trade back because I want to finish it. I just didn't have time to read all of it this week yet. So, any closing thoughts? Because I think it's my turn next to do pick of the week.
I can't do anything without spoiling things for you, Bean. But Shanice, you and I are going to have a longer conversation about how that book ended.
Yep.
A much longer conversation about how that book ended. Because the avian flu, where are the chickens coming from? For all the black market chicken restaurants.
Wake up, sheeple.
Wake up, chicks. Wake up, hatchlings.
Where are the chickens coming from? Where's the chicken farm?
Space.
Baby T-Rex. Is that why they're watching a planet? Is that where the chicken...
Maybe it was the llamas. Maybe that's why that llama got dropped. They're behind the avian flu.
Maybe it's not really chicken. Maybe they're eating llamas. And then they're going to catch these hands because these hands rated E for everybody. Let's go.
Yeah, they say alligator tastes kind of like chicken. Maybe it's all alligator.
Alligator is very delicious.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bean, what you got?
I have decided, and it was between a new series I'm really enjoying, which is not going to be my pick of the week, but I'm still going to give it a shout out because I've been really enjoying it, is Bolero. Which that one is awesome. It's like sci-fi, but it's also like a real exploration into like grief of like breakup and everything like that. So it's been really good. That series has been awesome, but it's ongoing. So I think I want to save that until it's like finished. But what did finish is Dirtbag Rapture, Yay! Which it just finished. So the trade isn't out, but I have all the single issues, so I'm going to loan you guys my single issues to read them and enjoy them. So
You can't wait to enjoy it.
yes, and you're gonna. So it's definitely gonna be like a good one. After Chew is intense. Dirtbag Rapture has drama in it, but it's also a lot of comedic relief because the main character, Kat, is just a mess. And I love her. She's just out there just blackmailing people and like doing drugs and just, just surviving. So
yes. Who was it by?
My probably favorite comic writer, Christopher Cebola.
Nice.
And then I'm trying to remember the name of the artist. I just looked them up. Kindle Good, I think. I know I've got the first name right, but I don't know about the last name. But we'll talk about it more next week after you guys have read it. I'm so excited.
First, for anybody who's staying with us and reading with us, drop down in the comments what you thought of Chew. Also, Bean, what company does Dirtbag Rapture?
Oni Press.
So you can definitely go to your LCS, be able to pick up at least the first issue, hopefully. If not, I think their website is doing pretty good at it.
It was a small print issue, so maybe like I don't know if anybody else can really find it. You guys know that I was the only person getting it in my pull box, so we were getting exactly one at the store.
Yeah.
So, but also like maybe that's like, come back, listen, and maybe that would be a good one to call your like local LCS if it sounds like something you want to read and say, hey, I want the trade, because the trade should be coming out soon and they may not be getting it. So,
So hopefully you guys can find it on Comixology so you guys can keep reading with us. We have been Space Cadets. Thank you for joining us. We can't wait to see you next week. Bye.
Bye.